Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 51 of Chance Ball, and this one is titled Mr. Fix-It. It was now Thursday night, and you had vaguely remembered that you and Darby were supposed to have been clearing your schedules to go on a date, but at this point you'd barely spoken all week and you were feeling that dread set in. The next time he comes home, he's going to break up with me. It's going to be for good. I can just feel it, you thought as you walked home after classes on Thursday. Hot tears suddenly poured down your face like a sudden storm on a hot summer's afternoon, and you sobbed your way home. I can't take this anymore, you thought as you entered the empty house. Darby's car was gone and no texts sat waiting in your inbox, so you just had absolutely no idea where he was, who he was with, or what he was doing, and it hurt. He doesn't even care. You walked inside and dropped your bag down, standing there feeling lost as heck. Just then your phone dinged and you yanked it out so fast you almost sprained your wrist. It was a message from your mum. You were really disappointed that it wasn't Darby, but at the same time, seeing your mum's name pop up made you feel loved, and you immediately rang her. She picked up immediately. Mum, I want to come home, you sobbed to her. Yin, what's happened? Are you okay? She asked with immediate concern. All she had sent in the text was a very gentle, I miss you, how have you been? And in response, she got a sobbing daughter in a frantic phone call. I just want to come home, you cried. Can I come over? Yes, of course, honey. Is Darby with you? Can he drop you over? Or do you need me to send Dad to come and get you? Darby isn't here, and I don't care if Dad's going to say stuff. Just send him. I want to get out of this stupid house, you sobbed, your sad cry now turning to anger at the mention of Darby's name. All right, darling, all right, your mum said. I'll tell him to come and get you. He'll be about 20 minutes. Okay, I'll get some stuff, you replied. Okay, love, see you soon, she said. You both hung up and then went about your respective duties, and in 20 minutes your dad pulled up in the driveway. Grabbing your bag, you left the house and jumped into the car, giving him a sheepish smile as you sat down. It's been a while, he said to you, reaching one arm awkwardly out to give you a side hug. Yeah, you replied. College has been busy. He nodded and retracted his arm, and then put the car in drive and off you went home. Darby had gone to class late, then driven to work, and then gone to dinner with Tonkata, and was now picking up Kuroo to take him and his girl, then off to Utopia. They were going to go. Mrs. is good to let you out so late, Kuroo said cheekily as he hopped in the passenger seat of Darby's car. Darby grunted. I'll be honest, we're not exactly seeing eye to eye at the moment. Trouble in paradise? Kuroo asked. Darby grunted, a little annoyed at your and his little situation that just didn't seem to be getting any better. I'm sure it'll work out, Kuroo replied. Darby stayed quiet for a second and then swore loudly. Ugh, I was supposed to be taking her out tonight. Oh, I completely forgot. Well, there's another nail in my coffin then. That's never a good thing, Kuroo replied. I'm not one to give advice, but you'll need to apologise ASAP for that blunder. Crap. Darby smacked the steering wheel with his hand. I'm friggin' sick of this. When I get home, I'm going to dump her on the bed and rail her into the mattress. You've heard of a snow angel? Well, she'll be so far buried into the mattress, she'll make a mattress angel. I'm no expert, but isn't that a little bit aggressive? Kuroo chuckled. Maybe start with flowers. Screw your flowers, you frickin' pansy. Darby shot with a smirk. That's why I got all the girls and you didn't, you daffodil-looking head-ass. If I remember correctly, I was always the one pointing the girls in your direction, Kuroo teased. As if. Darby reached across, thumping Kuroo in the arm. The pair continued on to pick up Kuroo's girlfriend, and then off they went to the secret location. Back home, you were digging into some comfort food while having a good whinge to your mum. You just didn't care about saving face at this point. If Darby was going to be so immature, then you were going to tell your parents about it. Your mum was mostly sympathetic and kept the food coming, while your dad escaped to the study to keep away from any potential backlash. It's not how it used to be and it hurts, you said, sniffing, then blowing your nose one last time. You can stay here tonight if you want, your mum offered. No point staying in an empty house. At least here you've got someone around. Thanks, Mum. I'll stay here tonight. I haven't even told him where I am, but I doubt he cares. She furrowed her brows and then stood up. I'll go and make up your bed. I bought a new bed and put it in your old room and set it up as a guest room, she said, walking to the lounge room door. It was starting to get quite late and you were exhausted, mostly from all the crying, and so as soon as the bed was made for you, you had a shower and then fell right in, not even bothering about checking your phone. As soon as Darby dropped Kuroo and his girlfriend off at Utopia, he rang you. You didn't pick up, so he rang again. Still you didn't pick up. I'll talk to her as soon as I get home, he thought. Single-mindedly he sped home, pulling up quickly into the driveway and jumping out of the car. The lights were all off in the house and he paused for a second. Maybe she's asleep. Screw it, I'm going to wake her up. He jumped up the front steps and landed lightly at the front door, pulling his key out to open the door. Yin! He called loudly into the dark house as he entered. I don't care if you're asleep. I'm coming to talk, so wake the hell up. Silence was his only reply as he walked to the stairs and took them 3 at a time to get up to the second floor. The only question I have is how do you want it? In your mouth or the other end while we talk this out? He said with a sneer. He stepped into the room and stopped. The bed was empty. Yin? He called, turning around. Where are you? Silence. Yin? He called again, half curious, half worried. Are you here? Silence again. He waited, but the house sounded and felt completely empty, and he pulled his phone from his pocket and checked it. No messages from you. He scrunched his brows together and rang your number, but it rang out. 30 times he rang out. He was starting to worry and get infuriated at the same time. How friggin' dare she? Just disappear, not even text me, not even one message. It's what time in the frickin' morning and nothing? He started to send an irate message, but then suddenly his own self-awareness smacked him in the face and he stopped midway through typing the word F. Oh, crap. I do this to her all the time. Then dread set in. Has she left me? His heart suddenly clenched and it hurt, forcing him to clutch his chest to ease the pain. He stared at his phone in the dark, the bright screen burning into his eyes as his heart threatened to shatter right there and then. Where is she? He didn't know what to do. For the first time in forever, he didn't know where to start his search, his brain being consumed with the negativity of his ghosts. You're pathetic, his inner voice told him. You got too comfortable. Now the only person who ever tried to understand you has left your stupid ass. Amazing job, Darby. Or should I call you Toya? Frickin' useless child. You should have just died. No one wants you anymore. He was trying to breathe, really he was, but his lungs just weren't taking in enough oxygen to supply the stress that was eating him alive. He choked out into the darkness, his voice box burning. Oh, I'm sorry doesn't even cut it, he thought, falling to his knees. He allowed himself to feel hopeless for a bit, and then dragged himself back out the door to go and pick up Kuroo and his girlfriend, pretending that everything was fine as he picked them up and dropped them back to their respective homes. In a way, that night alone in the house was good for him. He had hours to torture himself over where you were, what you were thinking, if this was the end, which he was sure it was. It brought him back to reality quick smart. Meanwhile, you slept peacefully that night, safe and content, and then woke the next morning ready to go to college. After saying goodbye to your mum, your dad dropped you off at the college, and you walked to your first class like everything was normal. Darby still hadn't arrived, and to be honest, after not having slept all night, he wasn't going to go to classes that day anyway. It was while you were in class that you thought to turn your phone on. I swear to God, if he hasn't texted to find out where I am, then I'm actually considering leaving him, you thought, holding your finger down on the power button and scrunching your nose with worry. Please have a text. Please let there be a text, please. Your phone lit up and the start screen did its thing before changing to your home screen. For a second your heart sank. No messages. Then all of a sudden notification after notification flooded in. 30 missed calls from Darby. Your heart leapt in your chest and your whole body relaxed yet tensed at the same time. He still wanted you. That was a relief since you still hadn't given up on him. But now what? His last call had been at 2 a.m. Do I text him? You hesitated for a second and then decided to do it. It would be better to let him know that you hadn't been kidnapped than to find a missing persons report on the TV that had been set up to find you. You opened a message to him. I'm in class, can't call. You sent, waiting to see what he would say before sending the next one. You saw him come online immediately and he read your message and then the little dots of reply popped up. Stay there, he sent. Okay, he's either relieved or pissed and I can't tell at this point. Nervously you waited for him to arrive. As expected, he didn't slip into the class quietly. The front door of the class slid open with a loud bang, and there stood your man, head lowered with one hand on the door frame and one hand on the door that he had just pushed open with far more force than necessary. Excuse me, the teacher said with an appalled look on his face. Don't turn up to my class and... Yin, Darby said in a low voice, his head slowly rising till his icy hot turquoise gaze fell on you. You just looked at him. Come here, baby, he said lowly, and your heart got up and walked over to him the second it heard his voice, turning to look over its shoulder at you, as if to say, well, you heard him? Why are you still sitting there? All eyes of the class were on you now, and you didn't know if you should come quietly or tell him to get lost. Deciding to not keep the teacher in an angry state anymore, you got up and grabbed your bag and then hurriedly left the room, apologising softly to the teacher as you walked out. Darby turned and headed off down the hall with you trailing, and your mind finally had time to catch up with your legs and your heart. Before he could even speak, you took a running step and shoved both palms in between his shoulder blades, making him stumble forwards with the force that you had applied. "You're an asshole!" you spat at him. "I hate you!" He turned and grabbed you by the upper arms and held you as you struggled and fought him, trying to punch and kick, but he evaded all of your attempts. "Let me go!" you hissed, tears brimming on your lower lids. "No." "Let me go!" your voice broke. Well, I think you can all agree that the next chapter is going to be something that brings them both back together, and we've got our happy Darby and our chaotic Yin together again. I'll see you tomorrow for that chapter.